So this week on the Homestead was all about sourdough and smokers. We showed you some of our favorite sourdough recipes and how you can make your own starter at home. And we also revamped this old smoker that was here when we moved into the homestead. Tried out a little heart jerky and some salmon in it. All right, so it is finally above zero on the homestead today, and we are gonna get started marinating some beef heart for jerky. We love beef heart. It is delicious. It's nutrient dense. It's very high in coenzyme Q10, protein, iron. Really good for you. We like it. It's one of our favorite parts of the animal. All we do to make jerky, a really good jerky with it, is just slice it really thin and then marinate it about 24 hours or more. We just do a little maple, apple cider vinegar, and some spices. We're gonna get started on this, let it go overnight, and then get to make a jerky. Heart. So I'm just gonna kind of clean it up and take some of this grizzle off. Like this. This is gonna go to the dog. This is one of Lena's favorite foods ever. All right, I got my heart nice and thinly sliced. I am gonna throw it in this bag and marinate it overnight. It's super simple. You can do marinades all different kinds of ways, but I'm just gonna do a little apple cider vinegar, some maple, salt, and pepper. And I was gonna do a little liquid smoke, but I feel like sometimes it's a little too potent and it tastes too chemically, so I think I'm just gonna forego this time. I'm gonna start with my apple cider, and I will put a recipe in the description, but I just kind of eyeball it. I'm actually gonna add some jalapenos in here too. Some salt, pepper. So when we harvest an animal, even if it's a small animal like a bird, you know, whatever it is, we use the whole animal. So any organ meats, the tongue, everything we use. For salmon, we don't let anything go to waste with those salmon. So we will fillet our salmon, then we will scrape the bodies to get any extra meat and make salmon patties out of that. And then we will take the whole bodies, heads and all, and just cook it with some water and make a really good salmon stock. And we will use that in chowders and soups, and it is delicious and also really good for you. So waste not, want not. We use absolutely everything. We're super happy to do so. So this is just gonna sit overnight in our cooler and just stay kind of cool, and we're gonna enjoy this. So tomorrow we are going to be baking quite a bit of sourdough items and showing you guys our favorite recipes to do with that on the homestead. So I'm going to bulk up the starters a bit, and to do that I'm just going to pop these both in my half-gallon mason and give them a big old feeding. And so feeding a starter just means you're going to put flour and water in there. Generally, you're gonna see equal amounts. I like to do a little bit more flour and make it extra thick. I find it makes a really good starter. I am no professional baker. This is just how we do it on our homestead and what works for us. So I'm gonna start by popping these in this half-gallon mason, adding flour and water and mixing it all up. You wanna make sure when you mix it, there's no flour left unincorporated. And then I just put a top on, just lightly capped. I don't seal it tight. I just kind of lightly cap it and it'll sit on the counter. If you wanna slow your starter down, if you don't bake as much, you can always put it in the fridge and it will slow the growth down, and then you can take it out and feed it and then bake your bread. You can also dehydrate your starter. So if you spread it out in a thin layer on like parchment paper and then let it dry out, you can save that in a baggie or give it to friends. So a lot of different things to do, but I'm gonna go ahead and put this in. It's on the downside of being active right now, so it's already peaked and gone through. See how it does cling to the sides like it's active, but it's a little runnier, so it's on the downside of the peak. You could probably still make a good bread with that, so I'm not super picky. Sometimes I will cook with this and it'll be just fine. I always figured, you know, when I do sourdough, that when our grandmothers and our grandmothers' grandmothers were baking with this to make bread for their families, they weren't getting super technical with it. They were just baking it when they had to bake bread. So I'm very simple with my sourdough, and I'm only gonna discard a little bit just because we're making some flatbread with dinner tonight. Other than that, I'm gonna keep all this and I'm gonna make a really big starter. So when you're feeding a starter, you don't have to throw out half of that to discard it. That's literally just making room in the jar. You can save discard. So if you wanna save discard for later, you can put it in the fridge and use it for later. If you just wanna bulk up your sourdough and get a big, beautiful starter going, you can just keep feeding it and it'll just keep growing. And I will also show you how to make a starter. So to start your own starter, you don't have to buy a super expensive sourdough starter kit or anything like that. It is just flour and water and a little bit of time. This one I'm gonna take a little bit of the discard so we can make our flatbread with dinner tonight. We're gonna do some more pate, some liver pate. The rest of this is gonna go in here. So this is a lot of inactive starter. So I'm gonna add quite a bit of flour in here and some water, and I'm gonna feed this, and hopefully this will get nice and big and huge and have everything I need to make my pizza and my 2 loaves of bread tomorrow. And in the meantime, before my bulk flour comes to the post office, we did grab this. We went to Story Time in the nearest town. And I don't measure my feedings. I don't weigh it. I just kind of eyeball it. I'm gonna add a good amount of flour in here. Let's do a good amount of water. We'll start with that. So I'm actually gonna use the handle of my spatula here to try to get to the bottom of this. There's all sorts of fancy sourdough tools you can buy. I don't have those. That is a little too thick. That's not quite what you want. You want it a little bit thinner. We're using wild water, spring water. So I don't know if chlorine would affect your starter at all. I've never had water with chlorine in it to try to know that. So just something to keep in mind. And generally the higher protein flour, the higher quality flour you use, the better luck you're gonna have with a starter. That is just about perfect, but I think it's gonna explode out of the jar once this gets going. So I'm just gonna keep an eye on it and maybe put it on something in the kitchen. Just what I want as far as like a consistency. And that's it. That's how you feed and make a really big starter. If you want to share your starter, all you would do when you do feed your starter is just take that discard that you put in a different jar and feed that, and then you have a starter to share with someone. Okay, this has been fed. I'm gonna watch it because this is gonna explode out of the jar quite a bit here. And all I'm gonna do is just put a mason jar top on this, kind of loose, just kind of rest it there. And then tomorrow morning, super early, I'm gonna try to get started on my bread and my pizza dough. I'm gonna make a sourdough pizza. We're gonna top it with some salmon. It's one of our favorite pizzas to make, and we're gonna make it over the fire. All right, so today we are going to be making some sourdough on the Homestead. We're going to show you how to make your own starter and also some of our favorite bread recipes. And then for dinner, I think we're going to do a sourdough salmon pizza. I fed this big starter last night, and it got so big it exploded out of the jar, and I put it in a couple more mason jars here. But you can tell when your starter is active and ready to make bread because you will see a bunch of little bubbles on the side of the jar. And then when you peek inside, you will see it just kind of clings to the side when you tip it around. So this is ready to bake bread with. My recipe is very, very simple. And I'm gonna be making 2 different kinds of breads, one savory, one sweet, and then also my pizza dough. So I'm gonna actually divvy this up into 3 different bowls. But if you just wanted to make a really big batch and a couple loaves of the same size or the same kind of sourdough, you can make it in one big bowl and then divvy it up when you get farther down the line. But for me, I'm gonna take these 3 bowls and make 1 hot honey pimento Kalamata olive cheddar loaf, 1 chocolate rye sourdough that we tried the other day and it was delicious, and then 1 pizza dough for pizza tonight. So I don't measure my starter generally, so I'm just gonna eyeball this into each of these bowls, my pizza dough, my savory bread, and my sweet bread, and then I'll add the water. Okay, and now a couple cups of water in each of these. You want to try to incorporate the starter and the water as best as you can. I find that the more mixed in it is at this point, the better the loaf is. And then I add my salt right to this, you know, water and starter. Some people add it at different points. I like to add it right now, and I will do like a good 2 teaspoons to 1 tablespoon of salt. And this pizza dough starts the exact same way as a bread dough would. So I'm gonna add my flour right now and just mix it until a shaggy dough forms. So that's a little on the dry side. So I'm gonna do a teeny bit of water. So I just mix this until all the flour is incorporated, and then I'm gonna cover it with a cloth, and that's it. I like to pop it by the wood stove while it rises or while it rests for about an hour and a half, and then I will do my first stretch and fold. So my other 2 loaves is the same process. I'm gonna add a couple cups of water to each of these bowls, mix it in, do a little salt, mix that in, and then add my flour. For my sweet chocolate rye sourdough loaf, I'm gonna do something a little bit different. I'm gonna add a little rye and then some cacao in here and some honey and some molasses. But for the savory loaf, I'm gonna do the same thing, and then I'll add all my delicious add-ins when I do my stretch and folds. So we really like sourdough. You don't have to depend on the grocery store for commercial yeast. It is leavened by lactobacillus. It's also really neat because you can pass down a starter for generations and generations and kind of keep it in the family, which is very cool. Sourdough is generally more digestible, and it lowers the glycemic index of your whole meal when you eat it. So we really like it. You'll find a lot of sourdough in Alaska, but this starter is not especially old. When my last one died, I made a new one maybe 6 months or so ago, and then I also made a new one on the channel a few videos ago, but we'll show you how to do that too, so you can make your own. So I have my hot honey here. I'm actually gonna add a little bit of this to the starter when it's all liquid like this. Hot honey is really easy to make yourself. You can infuse chili peppers in honey, or I just took a little bit of cayenne and mixed it with honey. It's gonna be so good, oh my gosh. I'm excited to try this. And then for my chocolate rye sourdough, I'm gonna add the same thing, water, but I'm also gonna do a little bit of honey and a little bit of molasses. And then I'm gonna mix the flour. Instead of 4 cups of all-purpose, I'm gonna do about 3 cups all-purpose and a cup of rye. With the rye, I'm gonna add maybe a 1/4 cup of cacao. And some rye flour. So I put the flour in, and I forgot to put the honey and the molasses in the liquid before, but I'm just gonna kind of sneak it in here. Before you put your flour in, put your molasses and your honey and mix it in with your water. A little bit of cacao. Don't spit. Chocolate. Here. So since that pizza dough recipe makes about 4 pizzas, we're gonna do 1 salmon and then the rest with a red sauce. I'm gonna start a really simple pasta sauce, which is just garlic, tomato, salt, pepper, basil, and oregano. And I just saute my garlic and then add the other stuff in. I'm also gonna use some of our canned chicken bone broth as a little bit of liquid to mix with the diced tomatoes. I like to saute my garlic in a little extra virgin olive oil, on very low heat, and then add my oregano and my basil actually right to the olive oil. Let it kind of infuse for a couple minutes, and then I will add my diced tomatoes, my bone broth, and boil it. Little salt and pepper, just kind of simmer it down until I get desired consistency, and then I'll do salt and a little bit of sweetener to kind of give it like a nice taste, either honey or a little maple syrup. Got a little too hot. You don't want to burn the garlic. I actually really prefer cooking over a fire, and so I think we're gonna do the pizza out there just because the oven will be preoccupied. Some oregano and basil. just gonna simmer away a bit while we get outside, and we're gonna try to work on that little smoker that was here when we moved in. See if we can do our heart jerky in it.
Okay, well, it's about 14 degrees outside today, so I think what I'm going to go ahead and do is go drag that old smoker out, kind of see what I can do with it. Eventually, I'm going to build a new smoker, but just for now, we'll see if we can smoke the beef heart in it. I might just go ahead and cut the bottom out of it and just smolder a little fire in the bottom, just have it trap the smoke for me. I don't know, we'll kind of see. But yeah, it's a nice day today, 14 degrees, which is quite a bit better than it was last week. The sun's sitting a little higher in the sky. In February, we start to gain a lot of daylight, so it won't be too long now before we have that midnight sun and those beautiful summer days that we all look forward to here in Alaska. Okay, Lena, we're going to need, in our sled, we're going to have to put, we're going to need both axes. Yeah, this is just pre-mixed fuel.
That's good enough for a few.
Clean out the fire pit. Okay, what I think I'm going to go ahead and do is get a fire started out front here so we can cook our pizza on it, and then I'm going to go drag the smoker over. I'm going to cut the bottom out of it, and I'm just going to smolder a little fire of this this sort of damp alder we have kicking around here.
Good.
Okay, I'm gonna run on over and drag the smoker out, and I'll make a little fire inside that, throw some alder on top of it, and we'll kind of just see how that works out.
Okay, this has rested for about an hour-ish. I'm gonna do my first stretch and fold, and all I'm gonna do is gently wet my hands and just pick the dough up and fold it over itself. I do 4 turns around the bowl, and then I let this rest for another half hour, and then at that point I will do it again. So I'm gonna start with my pizza dough. This one, my pimento cheddar hot honey loaf, I'm gonna do the first stretch and fold, and then on the second one I will add in my add-in.
Birch and syrup. Good dog. under it. Put it up on some of those timbers. And oh, look at that. Smoker at its finest.
Can I help with the pizza dough? Yeah, you're going to help with the pizza dough.
yeah, because what I could do is cut a little piece of that beat up roofing over there and
Make a little catch for the fire.
yeah, just so it don't burn it off. There we go. So this isn't going to be perfect, but it's just going to be something we whip up quick. Smokers can be as simple or as complicated as you really want to make them. You don't really need much. You basically just need a box to hold some smoke. You don't want it to get so hot to where you're cooking it. You just really want to smoke it, but we're just going to set this up on these timbers. Normally I would cut this and make a small ring at the bottom for the fire. I misplaced my tin shears, so I'm just going to push it up against the back of those beams and make a very small fire in there. Hopefully this thing doesn't catch on fire. I doubt it will, but if it does, it wouldn't be the end of the world. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna stick this in there and I'm gonna make a small fire in it and I'm gonna go ahead and smoke this beef heart. Let it simmer down a little. Okay, what I'm going to do is let that kind of simmer down. I'm going to go cut up some of this wet alder I have over here. We'll toss that on top of the coals and just let it smolder. Oh, we probably should have put the twine in first, huh?
Okay, we're ready for stretch and fold number 2. Alright, I'm gonna go get my savory bread. Okay, so to this one, I am gonna add cheddar, pimento, a little bit more hot honey, and some olives. I'm gonna add a little of my olives, pimentos, some cheddar, and add a little more olive, pimento, cheddar. All right, so this is gonna go rest for another half hour. I'm also gonna do another stretch and fold on my chocolate rye sourdough loaf. Yum. Last but not least, if you have like chocolate chip or a big like baking chocolate bar, you could chop it up and throw this in here and make it like a double chocolate loaf. Something else that we have done for like a Valentine's Day was a chocolate loaf, and then we added like dehydrated strawberries in there. Made it really pretty, but this is gonna be really good anyway. We are gonna make some cinnamon, honey, butter to go on top, and it's delicious. You can make so many good sweet sourdoughs. One of our favorites is blueberry lemon when the blueberries are in season. We love to do a low bush cranberry one. It's really good. It's like strudely. Okay, so I am gonna wait another half an hour, do another stretch and fold on all of these, and then maybe give them about 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours like this, and then I will shape them into balls and then let them rise about an hour and a half, and then they'll go in the oven. So we don't have any dry racks really set up in this, so what I'm gonna do is just stretch a string here across and kind of just hang them off the string and see how that works. So we will see.
Here, this is smoked.
It's all right. It's not too bad yet.
Don't start the smoker before you put...
Start the smoker after you put it on it. You might have to do 2 wrongs. So we are gonna need another row here, maybe two. See how she's doing? Ooh. So eventually we will put a rack in here. This is not ideal setup, but it's gonna work for right now, just to kind of test this out and see how it does. For the little pieces that were kind of tough to hang on there, we just made a little dent or made a little cut with our buck knife in there, and they're hanging just fine. So we're gonna finish putting these up, keep this fire going, and then we're gonna actually go in and shape our dough, get the bread going. You want one, Birch?
Think you approve? Yeah.
Tuck is wandering. Tuck wanders. So we have free range dogs. They can come in and go as they please. Birch sticks around. She's very people oriented.
She's
Tucker,
a smart one. Hangs out where the food is.
she hangs out where the food is. Tucker is a wanderer. He's just, you know, when we used to have neighbors in Maine, and you know, everybody would know. Everyone would know Tucker.
He'd come do his visits.
He does his round, yeah.
Okay, I don't really know how long that's going to go for. I'd say anywhere between 5 to 7 hours. We'll just keep checking it periodically and throwing some of this wet alder on it, and we should have some heart jerky by tonight.
All right, so I'm gonna start shaping these for my pizza. I am gonna shape this into a ball and then divide it into 4 pieces, shape those into balls, and then I'm gonna pop it outside where it's nice and cool. If you want, you can put it in the fridge anywhere from 1 to 3 to even overnight, just to kind of chill, and then you're gonna take it back, get it nice and room temp, and then we can stretch our pizza out. But first, I'm just gonna kind of wet my hands and wet the counter here and shape this like I would normally, which is folding it in 3 and then kind of using the side of my hand. And I just put my pizza dough on a parchment lined cookie sheet, and then I will cover it lightly with a little plastic wrap, and then you can pop it in the fridge. I am just gonna put it on the porch. Here. Okay, next I'm gonna do my savory hot honey pimento and olive loaf with a little cheddar in there. I'm just gonna do the same thing, and this, you know, you can be pretty lax with how long you let this go before you shape your loaf. It can be, I mean, I've even let it go overnight and it was just fine. Okay, this is really, it really does smell good. Then I'm gonna line this bowl with parchment, and then I'm gonna put that in there in the parchment, and then when my Dutch oven is all hot and my oven is preheated, I can just take the whole parchment and plop it in there. Okay, then my chocolate rye. It's a nice loaf.
Fold it together nice and tight.
Yeah, this one's gonna be good. All right, so in about an hour, I'm gonna go back, get my pizza dough, start stretching it out and making my pizzas. And I'm also gonna pop my first loaf in the oven. Okay, so this pizza sauce is just the consistency I want. I'm gonna pop it in a mason jar and I'm almost ready to make my pizza. Done. We are gonna do one of these pizza, a maple glazed jalapeno hot honey caramelized onion one. So I'm gonna cook this bacon and then put a little maple syrup on there and then caramelize my onions and get them ready for toppings.
Okay, while this beef heart smokes here, I'm gonna go ahead and tend the fire in the house and then tend the fire I got going out front. And then I think I'll start working on a little bit of firewood, and this should be done in not too long. Well, my firewood pile's starting to get pretty low here, which is unfortunate. I was really hoping it lasted me the entirety of the winter, but we still got a few months of winter left up here, so I'm gonna probably have to take the snow machine out back and find me some standing deadwood. I'll haul it back here, and we'll make it through. At least I have enough to get us through the coldest months of winter, which is the real important part. Well, there we have it. Firewood's done. I'm gonna go ahead, run in the house, and help Amy make some pizza.
So my oven is preheated to 450. I have the Dutch oven in it getting nice and hot. These, or one of these, is ready to go in as the first one. I think I'm going to do my savory loaf first. I'm just going to dust it with flour and score it to let out a little bit of steam, and then it can go in for 20 minutes with the lid on and 20 minutes with the lid off. So I'm going to carefully take this out of the oven. I have burned myself quite a few times doing this with bread. Okay. Okay, we are going to start getting these pizzas on the fire. I'm just going to do a trial one, just plain, before I use my salmon on one. So we'll see how this goes on the fire. Okay, I'm gonna do these on cookie sheets, so they're gonna be rectangles. And I am just gonna put one on top of the other and clamp it, and then hopefully it'll cook nicely on the fire. But since this makes 4 pizzas, I'm gonna do the first one plain. Lena's gonna design her own, and then we're gonna do a salmon. And then we're also gonna do a hot honey jalapeno bacon and caramelized onion. A little bit of our homemade pizza sauce. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna do some mozzarella.
Peppers in there.
Then I like to do a little bit of oregano on top too. Okay, I'm gonna put this on the other counter and make my other pizzas.
What are you having lemon for?
The lemon is for our salmon pizza, Lena.
Oh.
We're gonna put salmon on one of these. What do you think about that? Could you go in that little cooler and get me the big bag of mozzarella, Lena?
Yes.
Okay, bacon pizza. What do you think, Birchie? Got our caramelized onions. I'm gonna do a little hot honey on this too. So my first loaf of sourdough is done. I'm gonna take this out and see. That smells really good. I just kind of pick them up. Put it over here. Slide it off. While this Dutch oven is nice and hot, I'm gonna get my chocolate loaf in the oven next. Joe Birch. She's always right in the kitchen. Look out, Birchie. Okay. Okay, back to the pizza. Really good. Oh my god, that loaf looks really good. It smells really good. We're gonna do the salmon pizza now. I am just gonna do a base of cream cheese for this and then top it with some capers, some red onion, our salmon, and a little bit of dill. Gonna cut some chunks off this and then pop it. I don't even know if we'll use this whole thing for the whole pizza. Maybe we'll just make this on the coals after, but let's see. Oh, it's so great.
I think that's enough salmon.
Yeah, I think we're good. You done?
Maybe a little more crispy cheese all over the rosemary, so be a more. I have a dream pizza.
Okay, it's been 20 minutes. I'm gonna take the top off this chocolate loaf. That smells good. We're ready to take these outside and start cooking them. Fire! It's alright, the parchment will just burn off on the inside, on the outside. That goes.
So while this cooks, we're gonna go ahead and go check on our heart jerky.
Is Lena?
Oh, it feels right. It's like that right texture, you know? It's great. I don't know if I'd go much longer than that.
Yeah, you want to take them off?
Maybe when the first pizza's done.
Okay.
Mmm.
You want a bit, Lead? Oh my God. Okay, my chocolate is ready to come out. Let's see where I can put it. I'm running out of space in my tiny kitchen. Oh, that one came out really pretty. Nice. Okay. Awesome.
I'll tell you.
I'll tell you.
Honest
If
truth.
it's not burnt, I will let you.
I'll give you the honest. I only burnt a corner.
Yeah, only a bit.
It was just, that was where the
It's a
fire.
trial run, you know? First plain pizza done. Good. We like a sweeter sauce with the pizza. This is so good.
That's really good, actually.
Really good, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like perfectly sauced. We are gonna go ahead and do the salmon one next. Dare to do the salmon and then make sure to rotate this one. And then we'll come back in for the others.
Let's not burn this one. It's gonna be a little cooler this time. I'm gonna make it cooler. Salmon.
She likes salmon.
She thinks. Looks like an even bed, right?
Oh yeah, that looks nice.
About Alaska, honey, we don't have a lot of creepy crawlies. Yeah, definitely flip it.
I'd only do like a couple more minutes.
I would too. I wouldn't risk it. So, oh, we did it.
Yay! I think it's good.
Looks great.
I think it's good, yeah. All right, we're gonna go cook this last one.
So would we spin it in like 5 minutes?
Yeah, like almost less than 5 minutes on each side.
What's up? Oh. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and give this one a quick check and make sure I'm not burning it. Perfect. When you see perfection.
Oh, that looks great.
All right.
You did it perfect that time. Well, we are all excited to try the salmon one first, so I think I'm gonna cut that one. I'm gonna taste test.
Yeah, I could probably taste it.
Good.
This is one of the best combos.
That's really good.
Almost like a lox bagel.
Yeah, it's just like a lox bagel, except the crust is lighter. Not as chewy as like a bagel. It's great.
Well, that was really good. That's going to be hard to top, the salmon pizza. We are both pretty full now, so we are definitely going to wait till tomorrow to test the sourdough loaves. But we will have a little piece of this hot honey jalapeno bacon and caramelized onion pizza. It looks really good.
Have a giant piece?
A giant?
Yeah.
Your rosemary cream cheese pizza's still cooking.
Probably the best
When
one.
they're
I know.
done, when mine's done, I can have a taste of it.
Yep. Do you want to taste this one?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Mm.
You like it?
Good.
So that one she approved of.
Okay. Wow. Sweet. Surprisingly sweet. Get a little spicy.
Well, it's about 6:30 in the morning. Our beef heart has been going overnight in the smoker. We're gonna go ahead and start a little fire in there, let that go a little bit longer. We're also gonna bust out some of that salmon we have left over, and we'll do a little trial with that in the smoker today as well. Ooh, it looks good. Use a little bit of a just spruce to get it going, and then we'll put the wet alder on top of it. I left these things on purpose so I could Didn't want to disturb the piece so early in the morning, but I think I will. Stuff's perfect. Nice and punky. We'll just see how that burns down.
Lenny's not playing.
It's hard keeping a lot of fires going at one time. You tell him, Birch. Guard post.
So we could not do a sourdough video without showing you guys how we make flatbread. Sourdough flatbread has been one of our staples for many years. It was one of the first things we cooked up on our homestead because we did not have an oven, and it's a good use for your discard. So with my big starter here, I'm gonna discard a bit of this and make my flatbreads with it. And then we're gonna do them over the fire with some butter and honey and a little whipped cream. Whoop. So you just pour some starter in a bowl, and then like with the bread, I just add some water and mix it up. Also, like with the bread, a little bit of salt. If you want to make it sweeter, you can add honey too at this point. And then I add my flour, and I don't usually measure this. I just add enough flour to it's at the point where I can knead it out and form 4 balls. And then I just cut it in 4 or however many you want to make. All right, so these are ready to get fried up. I like to use tallow. So for a sourdough starter, I know a lot of folks have trouble making one. I had trouble, years ago trying to make a starter. And I find that the more simple you get, the better it is. So all you're gonna wanna start with is a high quality, high protein flour. I've never done it with like chlorinated water, so I don't know if that would make a difference. We've always used wild water or spring water. So you just need a mason jar. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna add equal parts flour and water to a jar and mix it up, lightly cap it. And then for about 5 days, you're just gonna do the same thing. You're just gonna feed it flour and water, equal parts, mix it up. If it gets to be too big during your feedings, you can discard that and then use the discard in any recipe you want and then keep on feeding it. And then by about day 5, you should be seeing lots of little bubbles in there. And usually around 6 or 7, day 6 or 7, I'll feed it twice a day. So I'll really try to get it active. And then when it looks like it's active, if it's bubbly and clinging to the sides of the jar, you're ready to bake bread. But I will make a new starter right here just to show you guys kind of the process. And again, you don't have to measure if you don't want to. I'm just gonna add a good bit of flour to this jar. This is just unbleached all-purpose flour. Unbleached organic all-purpose flour and spring water. That's it. And really, the consistency is kind of what matters. So you want it like a very thick pancake batter. You don't want it to be super thick. Like this is actually almost perfect right here. So if you'll see that kind of consistency, maybe a little bit more water, just a tiny bit. So this is a great consistency. It's thick. It's thicker than like a pancake batter, but still you're still able to stir it around. And then all I'm going to do is just put a cap very lightly on this and keep it somewhere somewhat warm. I just keep it on our counter, and we usually keep the cabin like 60 to 70 degrees. And it does just fine. Actually, you want to make sure, like there, I missed some flour on the bottom. I'm going to get all the flour in there. I think I'm actually going to do a teeny bit, like a tiny bit more water. And you'll be able to bake bread in about a week. But we will revisit this tomorrow, and then every day for the next 5 days, feeding and discarding. And then around day 6 or 7, I'll start doing my feedings like twice a day to really bump it up. But that's all. All right, we are gonna head outside. The fire's been going for a little while, and start frying up our flatbreads and topping it with butter, honey, fruit, and some whipped cream.
Yep.
Actually, I'll harvest a little out of here. Quick, like pancakes. The honey butter is nice and melted. This is like liquid gold. This is so good. Well, I'm gonna whip up a little whipped cream while those flatbreads cook. I like to chill my pan and my beaters when I make whipped cream. It makes it easier, and then I just put a little cream in here and some honey and whip it up until some stiff peaks form, and that's it. That's it, super easy. Homemade whipped cream in like 2 minutes. All right, last one's done. You want whipped cream on yours?
I just this whipped cream.
Do you want honey butter?
And this whipped cream.
Just whipped cream, nothing else? Yeah?
Yeah, I'll take a couple pieces of fruit.
All right. You a sample?
That's really good.
Is it?
Hey, it's not just me saying that.
That's good.
Simple things.
Mmm.
Mm.
A little honey butter on there. Oh my God, yeah. Yep.
Okay, so I think our heart jerky's done. I'm gonna go ahead, give it a sample, and if it's good, I'm gonna take it out. Ooh, boy. You want to start with the top rock, huh?
Yeah.
Because that's gonna be the less. Oh yeah, that's jerky. Oh yeah, perfect. Oh, that's really good.
A little bit of hot honey.
Got some hot honey here. That's great. Let's pull it off. Whoa.
What's this?
You want to sample Birchel?
Missing out.
Birchel. All right.
Little toaster.
Like, that's perfect.
Yeah. So this leftover salmon from the pizza, we are gonna try in the smoker. I just cut it up into some strips, and we're gonna do the same thing, just hang it over that piece of rope. This one's kind of funky shape, but I think it'll be just fine. Let's put the rest of these guys on here, and we have to run to get some water. I got this piece of skin. I'm just gonna put the whole skin right here.
Smoke the skin.
I'm gonna smoke the skin. So before we go ahead and smoke a big batch of salmon this summer, we're gonna do this little trial here and see if we like this marinade or this brine we did on here, and see how long it takes in this smoker. Give it a little trial run.
Check it out.
We'll check on that in a little bit. Okay, we are ready to try our breads, our chocolate rye sourdough, oh my gosh, and our hot honey pimento Kamado olive cheddar loaf, which I think we're gonna do with a little more hot honey and some cream cheese. And this one, we're going to put some of our honey butter on there. Maybe add some cinnamon. All right. The chocolate loaf. Smells really good, oh my gosh. I know Lena's gonna want this, so I'm gonna put some honey butter on her piece. I'm gonna try this one. Really pretty looking.
Great.
Oh my gosh, it smells really good. This is really good smelling. Really, really good smelling. Oh! We have some of our leftover honey butter. I'm gonna put this on the chocolate bread with a little bit of cinnamon. On the savory loaf, I'm gonna do a little cream cheese and then a little bit of hot honey on the top. Here's the hot honey pimento olive cheddar loaf.
Is it good?
This is really good. This would be awesome as a grilled cheese. And then for the chocolate, whoa. I really like, I like salty things over sweet, but I think the chocolate loaf wins. I was not thinking that. The chocolate loaf wins for me anyway. You want to try some?
I'm gonna get the olive.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm gonna have this with dinner.
Yeah?
Maybe some smoked salmon on it.
Yes. Oh.
The chocolate one. Mmm. This one wins for dinner. This one wins for like dessert. Honest review.
Good?
There's chocolate.
The chocolate.
Right, you can take it.
take.
Okay, so we're gonna run on down to the spring, fill up our water jugs here. By the time we get back, this salmon should be ready to try.
What is there? An egg in there?
Yeah.
All right, grab it up, Lean. Yay!
Come on, birch syrup. You can't hide forever. Beautiful out, huh? You know when you hear the birds, it's not super cold. We're just gonna eat this. I think it's perfect. Yeah, it's perfectly good. Like if you were gonna do that, you could go a little longer with it, but needs more maple.
Does it?
Mm-hmm.
More maple next time?
More maple next
Salt?
time. Yeah, maple and salt for sure. But yeah, we'll eat this the way it is for dinner.
Cream cheese on a piece of bread?
Yeah, cream cheese on a piece of bread. Easy, don't bite me water.